Hello everybody and welcome to science class. Today we are going to do our 11th chapter, that is light, shadows and reflection. As we all know, the visibility of our eye is not possible if light is not there. Without light we cannot see. Though we have eyes to see, but without light we cannot see. If you are made to stand in a dark room and if you are asked to find out any object of your choice, or even though you are in your familiar place and if light is not there, complete darkness is there, then also you cannot find out your way out. Okay, so let's see. We are going to study about everything which is related to light. We see so many objects around us. On the way to school, we see things like buses, cars, cycles, trees, animals and sometimes flowers. How do you think we see objects? Think of the same places at night time. If it were completely dark, what will you see? Suppose you go inside a completely dark room. Are you able to see any object in the room? So the answer to this question is going to be no. But when you light a candle or a torch, you can see the objects present in the room, isn't it? That is, if it is a dark room and you can only see the object in front of you if you focus light on that object. Instead, if you focus light on your face, you will not be able to see the object kept in front of you, which actually you want to see. You can only see that object when the light is focused on it. Actually, what happens, when light falls on any object, that light rays gets reflected. They are thrown back and it reaches your eye, which enables your eye to see the object. So we can say light helps us to see objects. Now, there are two types of objects. One object that emits out light of its own, that gives out light of its own, they are called luminous object, and the objects which are not able to give out light of their own, they are called non-luminous object. Now, which are the natural luminous object? One of it you can see, that is the sun, very familiar object which gives out its own light. Then one more, which is an insect, that's glowworm or firefly, which gives out light of its own. Now you will say moon, but moon is not the natural source of light or luminous object because it doesn't give out light of its own, but it reflects the light which it receives from the sun. So moon is not a luminous object, whereas when we talk about natural luminous object, they are the sun and glowworm. Object that emits out light of its own but not naturally. The objects are not natural. They are artificial luminous object, and we all have such luminous object at our residence or wherever we are working, or in our home we have it. That is bulb. Such type of luminous object, man-made luminous object, are called artificial luminous object. Right? Now we move on to the next topic. Transparent, opaque and translucent object. Before I explain this, one thing is left out, that is non-luminous object. The objects which doesn't emit out light of its own, they are called non-luminous. Anything that is chair, table, wall, dark objects which doesn't give out light of their own, though they reflect light but they don't emit out light of their own, they are called non-luminous object. Now, transparent object. What are transparent objects? Objects that allow light rays to pass through it completely. They are called transparent object. For example, I'll show you my spectacles. You can see through the glasses of my spectacles the benches on the other side of it. This two glasses are considered to be transparent object. Now, if I take a book and put it in front of the camera of the mobile, now are you able to see the objects kept behind the book? No. So, book is an opaque object. So, what's opaque object? How would you define it? Opaque objects are those objects through which light rays doesn't pass. Okay, they are considered to be opaque object. Think of other examples. Now, what are translucent? I will just show you. Here you can see the milky glass of the ventilator through which you cannot see very clearly. The bottom part you can see here where I am pointing out this window pane through which you can see. So these are transparent. And the above one, the window panes, 3 window panes which you can see, they are milky. Out of that 3, these 2 are milky glass through which you can see or through which light rays passes slightly, right? Whereas this glass is not translucent, it's transparent. You can actually, from here you are not able to view, but I can see the sky clearly, but these 2 are milky glass, and if you just keep your hand behind those 2 glass, you can just have a slight idea that something is behind those 2 glasses, but not clear. So these are called translucent. Through translucent object you can, or light passes through it partially. Okay, such objects are considered as translucent. Butter paper, tracing paper and milky glass, they are translucent object, and transparent objects are those objects through which light passes completely, and opaque objects are those objects through which light rays doesn't pass. Okay, so you have gotten, I hope you have understood what's an opaque object, transparent object and translucent object. Now children, will talk about shadow. Just now I had told you there are objects which doesn't allow light rays to pass, so they are called opaque object. Here you can see the page is very bright, page of the textbook on which the light rays are falling directly and it's looking bright enough. But if I keep this duster, you can see that this portion seems to be little darker than this part. Why? Because this portion of the page is obstructed by a duster, that is the light rays which was directly falling on this page is obstructed by an opaque object which is a duster, which is not allowing the light rays to pass through it. So what happened? You can see this much portion of the page is darkened. Okay, and if I lift it, you can find the difference. Same way, if I put my hand, you can see when I am moving away, light rays are directly falling on the page, but when I am just putting my hand like this, I am obstructing the light rays to pass and fall on the page. So that portion of the page gets darkened, and that's called shadow. The object which obstructs the path of light, it creates shadow or it casts shadow on the surface. So this is what shadow is. Shadow is not possible casting of shadow is not possible by transparent objects. Transparent object अगर मैं रख देती हूँ तो shadow form नहीं करेगा. Now you see I've kept my spectacles. Only shadow of the dark portion can be seen, but the portion where glasses are there the pages you can see it's bright enough, right? It's same as bright as this portion. So transparent objects never cast shadow. Shadow is cast by opaque object, and somewhat if you take translucent, then the darkness of the shadow will be very light enough. It won't be that dark as it is in the case of an opaque object. Okay? So shadow is cast by an opaque object. Transparent object doesn't cast shadow, and shadow is that incident or phenomena where the light rays are obstructed by an opaque object. Okay? Hope you have understood what shadow. And here on this page you can see on screen you can get different images with the fingers. You can play with your fingers and palm or hand and get different images of animals. You can try it. Shadows of animals hidden in your hand. Is that clear?